I found the perfect quest game. Well.
Guys, turn the mic on, you can't.
Stop making kids cry!
How about you get your fat head out your chunky ass?
Okay, almost perfect. If you're a Quest 2 user, you'll likely be fully aware of the current dire state of VR titles on this headset. There's been a very depressing, somber mood in the current VR space with these consistent disappointments and lack of releases until now. This game is, at least at the time of recording this video, in alpha and entirely free to play. And just to be clear, this video is in no way sponsored by Breaches or Triangle Factory, because this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legend. I'm just fucking with you. Also, I've left everything you should need in order to actually play and download the game in the description down below. This game is a 5v5 tactical VR FPS. Basically, a complete Rainbow Six Siege ripoff, but in the best possible way. At the beginning of each round, you have money earned from previous rounds that you can use to purchase weapons, breaching foam, grenades, drones, tripwires, and even an invite to my Discord server at discord.gg/GetHip. Gadgets you can purchase change based on if you're attacking or defending, with attackers getting drones, breaching foam, and cloaking devices, defenders getting tripwires, electrical fields, and barricades. You get the deal. As an attacker, you can rappel up and down buildings and swing into windows, break down barricades, all just like Rainbow Six. And as a defender, your objective is to keep my subscribers' mothers out of my DMs.
Listen, gamers, today we're going to be breaching and clearing your mom's house. I personally will be handling the operation of breaching and clearing your mother's bedroom.
When I saw the reveal trailer for Breaches, I was cautiously optimistic, but the fact that this game is being developed by Triangle Factory, the developers behind the very well-received team shooter Hyperdash, I knew this title was in good hands. And as always, I'm not a narcissist, but like always, I'm always correct. Breaches is f***ing awesome. The gunplay is satisfying, the weapon designs are awesome, the variety of guns feels substantial, the maps were solid and very dense, the art style is a perfect mix of realism and stylism. I don't know if there's a word, but you get my flawless execution of it. I mean, look at these dope reflections on the attacking team's visors. Don't get me wrong, this is nothing groundbreaking, but I'm impressed to see something of this visual quality running natively on the Quest 2, given that it's a 10-player game set in dense indoor environments. That said, I did have a few performance issues. The game does lag a little bit here and there, and not everything feels perfectly smooth, but that's understandable. Again, this is a alpha. Each match is tense. The teamwork and communication is just crucial enough to hold together a team, but not crucial enough to force you to rely on your teammates.
Call me a moron.
Yep, must be from Manchester.
I'm not even from England.
Yeah, I can hear it from your fucking breathing. You're from Manchester. Just follow it. 3, 2, 1.
If you're a good shot, you can easily wipe out the enemy team yourself if you get paired with a team of toddlers. This game does generally everything pretty well. Well, you see, I do have a few issues. To be clear, I'm about to sound like I have a lot of issues with this game, and I do, but I'm listing these because the foundation of this game is so good, and I desperately want it to be as good as humanly possible. See, as great as this game is at the moment, this is an alpha, and although I love this alpha, if the fundamentals of the game stay as they are, I am slightly concerned with its current state. Let me explain. Right now, every weapon is available to you, the same way they are in Counter-Strike, provided you've saved or made enough money from the previous rounds to afford them. The problem is, it's generally pretty easy to afford whatever you would like, even if you did spend the last round replying to your grandmother on Snapchat.
I hear Snapchat in the background. Get Snapchat off your phone. Stop snapping your grandma, mate. Just uninstall the app and head to church.
How would I go to church?
It's too easy to afford the best guns with little effort. I'd prefer the game to actually be harder on the player and force you to really perform well to afford the best guns. And this sinks into a big issue that I have with this game and all video games at this moment, particularly VR games. Even a game like Breaches, intended to be a slightly more hardcore tactical shooter, doesn't have the balls to really make anything too difficult. Everything is easily accessible to everyone, and there doesn't feel like there's much of a skill ceiling. Sure, when I was playing, I would absolutely obliterate by some of the best players in the world, but I also smoked a lot of these players with too little effort and too little experience. Every gun besides some of the pistols only takes a couple of hits to kill someone. Every round tends to boil down into whoever saw the other person first wins, and this seems to dilute all of the weapons that are available, since they're only a couple of shot kill weapons. There's no real reward to performing well in previous rounds to afford a better gun, because it's basically only slightly better than the cheaper weapons. Part of what made Counter-Strike so great was you actually had had to make clear decisions with how you spent your money in order to plan for what weapons you wanted to afford later to potentially give you an upper hand. I want to see breaches clearly make some weapons more powerful than others and reward players for planning ahead with their money rather than everything being diluted into whoever shoots first wins. The same way when you catch a glimpse of an enemy with an AWP in Counter-Strike, you alert your team and suddenly have to reposition knowing that that thing can literally one tap you. I want to see weapons and breaches that are clearly recognizable and force you and your team to operate differently. Also, as much as I do enjoy the combat right now, the way kills are displayed is just far too bland. I'd like to see Rainbow Six Siege like point/XP gain graphic when I kill an enemy. I want to feel like I'm actually progressing my account and my character when I land a kill. I also want to hear some very satisfying gun effects. Right now everything sounds pretty standard. And I want the guns to have more of a unique firing effect so you can identify each gun being fired through their audio. You will recognize this sound effect immediately. And you immediately know what gun that is. In breaches, everything kind of sounds the same at the moment. I'd also like to see a more satisfying kill sound effect. Nailing a headshot, besides the inherent satisfaction that you get from that, isn't as satisfying as it should be. Pavlov does this insanely well. I mean, look at this. I'd also like to see more creative items added, like riot shields, upgraded barricades, like in Rainbow Six, instead of these hologram shields that take no effort to set up. I also want items that force you to be more involved in the game. Right now, a lot of the items are so two-dimensional and easy to set up in their use or placement that nothing feels substantial or immersive. And this is an issue with a lot of VR games right now. Ironically, in making an effort to make all VR games as accessible as possible, we're moving closer and closer to essentially a 360-degree flat screen game. To be clear, breaches doesn't go this far and isn't bad, but it does engage in some, in my opinion, overreaches in accessibility. One of those things being the crouch mechanic. You can crouch down in real life if you would like, but you can also just press a button. And if I want to play as sweaty as possible, the button is more effective because I can drop my character down quicker than I can crouch in real life. And I hate this. Part of the reason you play a tactical FPS in virtual reality is to have a more tangible experience that takes advantage of VR as a medium. So crouch button acts counter to all of that. Players should have to crouch in real life to get the upper hand, just like you'd have to in an airsoft match. And going prone, like in Rainbow Six, to pull off super specific peaks should also be something you can do in breaches. At the moment, when I go prone, which I did once or twice while playing, the game keeps trying to push me up into a crouching position instead. There should be a full player model position for prone, and the game should allow me to go prone to get an upper hand. This should also be encouraged on the map design, forcing players to just generally be more physical and involved in the tactical FPS experience, rather than just being able to stand up and use the thumbsticks and play it as if they had a controller in their hand. And this also bleeds into a larger, more overarching issue I have with this game, and that's that it feels very rigid in its design. At least with the one map currently available, the map feels like it forces you into directly engaging with enemies rather than being able to set up camping positions or putting yourself into unique positions to get the drop on someone. This does not mean I want a camping simulator, but I also don't want one-dimensional firefight that lasts a split second. It's something I think could work very, very well in VR. And I want this game to be as involved as possible, to truly take advantage of VR and reward players for being more involved. Imagine tournaments where you have pro players pulling off wins by lying on their back, peeking through a defense that they set up and spent the whole prep time building, like a true VR FPS chess match. I also obviously want to see customization, skins, gloves, and a lot of people, I get it, roll their eyes at that. The current games as a service space is unbelievably predatory and an exhausting grind, but I want to see breaches stay free to play. I think shown by the current state of games on the Quest, free to play microtransactions does seem to be genuinely the way to go, whether you like it or not. Before the whole, what about all the kids? I get it, that is a problem, but with proper skill-based matchmaking, a competitive system, and a party system, you should have much better control over who you get placed with, provided breaches implement that. Otherwise, you're just joining lobbies with a bunch of kids. That sort of system won't completely rid the game of squeakers, but perhaps it's better than being paid and ending up basically dead, like the majority of new Quest releases. Not to say that you can't make it being a paid game. I think breaches could be incredibly fucking successful with this model. The groundwork is here. There just needs to be something to progress towards. Right now, what stops me playing most games on this headset are the lack of any tangible progress. I want a rank system. I want to level up and get XP with each win and kill. I want to be encouraged to win. I want to unlock new cosmetics, as well as having the option to purchase specific cosmetics to separate me from other users. And please, Triangle Factory, don't go ape with the cosmetics. I'm sure they're probably planned already. I like the current art style. Any cosmetics or unlockables added to the game, I want to be in line with each team's style. I want to feel like I'm upgrading the drip of my character from standard counter-terrorist to giga counter-terrorist, rather than standard counter-terrorist to rainbow f***ing unicorn. You know what I mean? I also want the hours I've played to be reflective in not only my skill, but my character's look. And to me, that is the #1 factor when it comes to sinking more time into a game. I want to look like a Giga Chad when I've put giga hours into a game. You log into Destiny for the first time, in borderline rags, only to go to the tower and see players with hundreds of hours rocking up in absolute drip. It immediately gives you the motivation to actually progress, rather than everyone be level with each other in looks and power. Not saying that I want Breaches to become an RPG, but I want some RPG-like elements in terms of customization, giving me a reason to play more besides the initial fun factor surrounding the gameplay. Again, this is all my opinion. You may f***ing despise everything I've just stated, but those are my thoughts on what is currently my favorite Quest 2 game by far. So if this game looks cool to you, support it by just playing it. So I hope to see you guys on my team and not in my mother's DM.
Brilliant. Fucking brilliant, mate.